Spider-Man Gwen Stacy. It's a whole new original story that I've written that's part of the universe of Insomniac Spider-Man. This is a continuation after my version of Spider-Man 2, which you could check out yourself. And in that version, you get a sneaky glimpse of Gwen Stacy's puncture marks on her forearm from what seems to likely been a spider. Matter of fact, earlier she was helping out a scientist at Oscorp to pick up the escaped radioactive arthropods. Basically, she has Spider-Man's abilities and was teased at the end credits of my version to be the next spider hero. And behold, I've made a whole story for her. This will be the first story I made in the channel where I'm not rewriting a plot of an already existing game. I'll talk about a few major events that takes place in the game in this video. Or you could, if you like, you could click on the link in the description of the video to read yourself the whole plot yourself, or simply drag the timeline to the last chapter of the video to read my script there in this slideshow format. Also, not only the plot I'll talk about, but as well as the suits for Spider-Gwen that be in the game, and a passionate rant of something or someone that ruined Spider-Man 2 for me. Since I don't want to make a video dedicated on criticizing the game when everyone else did that for the past year. So grab your snacks and your favorite drink, sit down, and have me as your background noise, and enjoy the video. Earlier today, there happened to be an incident in the underground lab of Oscorp, where Norman Osborn ordered symbiotes from the Life Foundation to find a suitable symbiote to safely attach itself to his son Harry, to keep him healthily sustained from his disease. The incident was an accidental explosion that set loose 4 symbiotes that attached themselves to anyone in the premise, then escaped through the tunnels, except for one, who decided to stay longer, a green symbiote. Gwen Stacy was there when the incident took place, so she quickly equipped her Spider-Man costume that she ordered from Amazon for roughly $55. Long story short, she took down the green symbiote, which was not an easy battle for her. It was actually her first big fight after getting her spider abilities, which was 2 months ago. Right after, the scientist tells Spider-Woman about the 3 more missing symbiotes and gave her their names and special abilities. Agony can absorb electricity and is invulnerable to physical and energy attacks. Riot grants its host fangs, claws, and a powerful build. Phage can manipulate its body into various forms, like the many blades on its shoulders, legs, arms, and hands, but prefers to be solid. Also, there's Lasher, who's the weakest of the 4, but Spider-Woman had just dealt with him, who fortunately had a weak host. Spider-Woman was then granted a radar device to track down symbiotes, which can track the Life Foundation symbiotes as well as beep loudly if any symbiote is nearby. Lockdown occurs in the building, with Oscorp militia finally arrived trying to take down Spider-Woman under Norman Osborn's order. She luckily escapes with plenty of scratches and damage done to her suit. She reaches her apartment where she unexpectedly sees her dad on the couch, waiting for her, who was worried after hearing from the news about the incident at Oscorp. In confusion, he asks about her random costume of Spider-Man, which is torn up a bit. Her dad reminds her of her oath of only wearing a ghost costume since age of 6, which Gwen scoffs it off, saying that she couldn't find any good ghost costume for her size and for a good price too. She's lying, by the way. Her dad lets her know he'll help her with that problem soon, and as for now, his duty calls, which means he has to leave. They say goodbye to each other before her dad leaves the apartment and Gwen decides to take a hefty nap on her couch for a couple of hours. She wakes up around afternoon and sees a cardboard box with different colored fabric and coloring materials with a sticky note on top from her dad letting Gwen know that he got out of his way to purchase some fabric for Gwen to make her own ghost costume with plenty of colors she may add to make it stand out. This brings a smile to Gwen, who now begins cutting, measuring, sewing, and all that to make her new spider suit. 24 hours went by, with her ex-boyfriend even making an appearance for a few seconds at one point, which we will talk about, don't worry. Voila! She finished her very own spider suit and has now become the one and only Ghost Spider.
Excuse me, late for work. Coming through.
Looking good, Spidey!
Hello, New York. New suit, same old me.
This is the only Life Foundation symbiote I'll talk about this video, not because she's the most interesting, that would go to Phage, but because I believe I've done a better job on handling the metaphor of overcoming addiction with the symbiote, compared to Spider-Man 2 when Peter overcame addiction, which by the way, he didn't, which I'll get to soon. Ghost Spider swings over to downtown Queens where her mini radar is picking up a symbiote lingering around the suburbs. The radar begins beeping loudly as she got near a building with no activity outside or inside from what it seems. She turns off the radar and sneaks into the house from the second floor with no sight of anyone yet. Until she heard a kid whimpering downstairs, which she hurries down but quietly. She peeks aside of a corner and sees a boy hiding under the kitchen table with a purple symbiote, Agony, standing by the table trying to calm the boy and convince him that she's his mom. Ghost Spider realizes that perhaps the child and house belongs to the host of Agony, who managed to control the symbiote certainly well. She walks behind Agony and calmly insists her to remove her symbiote, since she's a danger to those around, even her son. All hell broke loose once Agony pounces at Ghost Spider, crashing through the front door onto the road under a rainy weather, where the two begin to brawl. Agony mainly uses her claws to strike Ghost Spider, while trying to bite her too. After a while of fighting, Ghost Spider kicks Agony onto her electric car parked outside. She senses electricity streaming in the car, so she takes a powerful bite of the front hood to absorb the power voltage from the car to use in her advantage. Round 2 begins with electric shock attacks from Agony added to the mix, able to electrify the puddles on the road, fire an unorganized electric beam transferring through the raindrops, and sometimes an impact explosion. However, Ghost Spider is still able to land plenty of hits and kicks to Agony. She had enough, so she raises her arms upward to electrify every raindrop in a half-mile radius, with Ghost Spider nowhere to hide, nowhere to run, so she falls to the ground, too exhausted and electrified to stand back up in an instant, as if getting tased. Agony walks over to Ghost Spider to end her for good. Before she can, she hears her son whimpering behind her in the house, looking from the caved front door, with the son asking, "Where is my mommy?" with his face red from crying non-stop. Agony approaches slowly to her son, who steps back out of fear, since Agony is a terrifying monster. She stops moving and looks down at the puddle to observe her reflection, realizing she's quite literally a monster. She looks back at Ghost Spider, who's on her knee trying to get up, and back at her son, before performing an encouraging act, tearing off the symbiote. She tears it off from her shoulder, her waist, then drags her symbiote hair to scalp the symbiote fully off her body. The purple symbiote is on the floor, trying to crawl back to its host, before Ghost Spider scoops it up with a glass cylinder container she uses to obtain the symbiote safely. The son runs to his mother, who he hugs tightly as he cries once more alongside of the mother. Ghost Spider takes a deep breath, glad the mom and son can reunite without anyone getting hurt. Before she can swing away, the mom asks who she is. Ghost Spider lets her know that she can call her your other friendly neighborhood Ghost Spider. What I love about this scene is that once Agony recognizes what she has done after defeating Ghost Spider and the terror on her son's face, she understood this power from the symbiote is harming everyone surrounding her, the heroine and her own son. She knew from looking at the reflection from the puddle that she was either going to live on as this absurd monster or abandon this power for the better. She could only make this choice now or never. And she did answer the dilemma by removing the symbiote to be with her son and continue living her life as a human being. Now for Peter Parker. After he torn off the symbiote, he still hasn't accepted the fact that he's better without the suit. He never said that he'd like the suit back, but he hasn't as well confirmed that he felt improved or rescued from the symbiote. Matter of fact, he still had a tiny bit of that black symbiote in him, which Mr. Negative transferred his powers into the black symbiote in Spider-Man's mind for him to now have the anti-venom suit and inhabit its powers similar to the black symbiote he wore. For gameplay purposes, I understand why it's done, and I'll give it actually clever on how anti-venom is created. But if all this is supposed to be a metaphor on overcoming addiction ever since Spider-Man got the symbiote, the black symbiote, boy, this falls flatter than Michelle Jones' chest. Let's set an example using this game's metaphor. A man is unhappy from what occurred in past events, so he began drinking alcohol and inevitably becoming an addict from drinking tons of alcohol. Sometime soon, he stops drinking because he understands the detrimental impact that alcohol has on his life, even if he felt happier when drunk. However, his best buddy offered him a solution for his matters: anti-alcohol. You can keep downing anti-alcohol to get pissed drunk without ever thinking about the consequences of bad illnesses or hangovers. That's legit the same thing for Spider-Man 2 that I can't get over. Once again, I understand from the gameplay point of view and still think it's kind of cool on how he got it, but in no shape or form is this even a right metaphor for overcoming addiction. You read that right. Gwen Stacy had once dated Eddie Brock. The relationship went on for 8 months, and they broke up 3 months prior to the events of this game. As you could imagine, this was a toxic relationship. Gwen wanted to take the relationship slow, since they became friends relatively quick, and she can't even remember why they dated in the first place. On the other hand, Eddie wanted too much, too quick from Gwen. For instance, they haven't had sex or even made out at all during the relationship. Sure, there's been times where they kissed and passed flirts back and forth, but there was no reason for them to date other than Gwen getting quickly attached to Eddie, which is due to her bad habit of easily getting attached to people, which is now perished after the relationship ended. She can now easily control her attachment issues. Eddie did love her too, although unfortunately he loved her exterior more than her interior without ever realizing. Oh, and if you're curious what Eddie looks like in this universe, he's comic accurate with the blonde flat top haircut with a body similar to John Cena. And for the record, Gwen Stacy's age would be 25 and Eddie Brock's is 28. I'm not sure if it's common for Gwen Stacy to be dating Eddie Brock in Spider-Man media. I can only think of Spectacular Spider-Man having this case, and that's it. And I doubt there's an already existing story of not only Gwen Stacy and Eddie Brock dating, but as well as Gwen Stacy becoming Ghost Spider, alongside Eddie Brock becoming... Actually, it's a good segue to talk about the next major event of the story. For those who read my version of Spider-Man 2's plot and hated Miles Morales becoming Venom, well, accept this as an apology gift as I turn everyone's favorite Venom host into Venom. Oh boy! It's an evening on Friday, which is dark out, and Eddie is walking on the sidewalk to maybe visit Gwen in her apartment since he rarely comes around here unless for Gwen. But instead of finding her there, he looks across the street and sees her through the restaurant's glass, eating dinner with a guy who is Peter Parker, but Eddie doesn't know him. He thinks they're dating because, why else would the two of them smile and eat at a Chinese restaurant? Based on Eddie's logic. Eddie turns back to walk towards his apartment in a pissy attitude, but then we, the players, are looking down at the side of the road sewage drain, where we see a small, familiar black tendril pop out. Eddie is at his apartment, throwing a fit that his ex-girlfriend is already out on a date, which she isn't, by the way, but he doesn't know. Plus, it's been only 3 months, so I personally think it's valid after coming out of a toxic relationship. He punches the walls, tossing his dumbbells and now on his knees bashing the floor, feeling betrayed since he and Gwen arranged a hangout tomorrow. Actually, he did, and Gwen just had to agree because, yeah. And she instead does this the day before. He looks up straight ahead and sees an ominous animated black goo crawling slowly to him, which stopped after Eddie questioned what it is. A few seconds later, it pounces to Eddie's face, which we were viewing from his POV. So all we see is pitch black and mumblings, which becomes more silent after a couple of seconds. Then snarls can be heard. This is a good transition for the next major event. Read my script to see how this begun. The two exes are at the Brooklyn Bridge at midnight, which is closed from how damaged it is from the Sandman encounter 3 months ago that the two Spider-Men dealt with. So it's under construction, but not right now since it's midnight. Ghost Spider was actually getting chased by Venom, and the best place to take him to fight without any innocents getting harmed is the Brooklyn Bridge. Ghost Spider reaches the bridge before Venom fires a lucky shot at Ghost Spider and has her fall down to the bridge's road for Venom to grab her by the neck to see who's under the mask. He pulls the mask off and finds out it's actually his ex-girlfriend Gwen Stacy. He shifts his monstrous head back to Eddie's head and drops Ghost Spider and her mask to walk a few feet away from her whilst looking away. Eddie asks if he means anything to her, which confuses Gwen from how random the question is. Eddie repeats the question, adding facts that Gwen hid her superhero identity from him, she punched him earlier, and dated some wimp already. Gwen straight up told Eddie that there was nothing between her and Eddie to give her a reason to tell him anything or treat him like he's her priority. Eddie stays silent momentarily before admitting he won't feel remorse after he kills Gwen. She calls out Eddie, which he declines loudly, announcing his name to be Venom. The two begin fighting it out while arguing why the relationship never worked and how it could have if Eddie was mature and understanding. They continue on for a while till they're now at the top of the Brooklyn Bridge's arc, where Venom has a grip on Ghost Spider's neck trying to choke her. However, she fires a high-frequency mini-bomb from her web blasters that made Venom let go of her, and then Ghost Spider delivered a powerful upper kick to Venom's bottom jaw, where the teeth impaled to the roof of Venom's mouth. So while Venom is stunned from the brutal blow, Ghost Spider jumps off the arc facing the road, where she fires a web line on top of the arc so she can perform a 360 spin around the arc to build up sudden momentum to kick Venom off the bridge with heavy force that led him to crash through the weak road and into the reservoir, where his body can't be seen, likely sunk and drowned. Ghost Spider takes off her mask to breathe easier, then lays on top of the arc to slowly fall asleep, feeling awful that she potentially killed a person. So she has to keep reminding herself that the symbiote destroyed every ounce of humanity left in Eddie and turned him into a walking corpse full of only hatred, even towards himself. A few weeks passes by after the battle between Ghost Spider and Venom. We are viewing the shore while also viewing the Brooklyn Bridge. Silence breaks out after a hand emerges out of waters. It's Venom's hand. He climbs himself up to shore where his body shifts into Eddie, who's tired and bruised from the battle. He looks ahead and sees a massive graffiti art of Spider-Man on the building. Without us, the players, able to hear what the symbiote is telling Eddie in his head, Eddie utters out, "What?" He is the one who dated Gwen and... Eddie smirks and chuckles before he's about to say something else in a sinister tone. "We'll have our time real soon, Peter Parker." A teaser for Spider-Man 3, which I would love to write a story for. But not for the next video, or the one after. Maybe sometime in 2025, who knows, right? I'd have to incorporate Green Goblin, Venom, maybe Dr. Octavius, and someone else if you translated something I added in my plot. Way too much that I could try making it work. So just no time soon I'll be working on that project. Alright, now that I spoke of a few major events of the plot, let me tell you what suits Ghost Spider would be able to wear in this game. Let's start with the canon suits. First one, Amazon's Spider-Man costume that she wears in the beginning of the game. Next one, her comic accurate suit which is her main suit, but instead of the cyan ballet pointe shoes, ballerina shoes basically, she's rocking her cyan Nike's shoes she wore during her time at university. So basically like the Across the Spider-Verse suit, but with the right body proportions. Alright, now for the non-canon suits. Alright. The Venomous Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider 2020 variant, Ghost Spider 2099, another Ghost Spider 2099, Iron Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider Carnage-ized. Not sure if that suit would be possible in the game, but I mean, who knows? Into the Spider-Verse, Vintage Comic Book Suit, Ninja Ghost Spider, Valkyrie Armor, whatever this suit is. This suit, I can't find the name of the suits or comics, sorry. Bra and Panties suit. Look, we had Peter Parker wear only underwear in the first game, and a mask. I think it's only fair, right? A typical ghost costume where it's just a silky white blanket over Gwen Stacy with 2 black circles to represent eyes, and then her bare arms and legs are out and exposed from the blanket. And plenty of other costumes that I just can't find the name or picture for. Some costumes are really cool, some are mid, but not completely terrible. I actually like Ghost Spider's roster of suits. Didn't know she had this much suits, and more. And I gotta be honest, these suits are much better than the suits Silk has in the comics. So I don't know how Insomniac is going to be able to incorporate suits for Silk, which she was, spoiler alert, teased in the end of Spider-Man 2, when she has only 7 suits in total of all in comics. Especially half of them are basic Korean outfits, and some of them are just ass. The only good suits are her regular original suit and her webbed up cocoon type of suit. Boy, what the hell is gonna be her Silk original suit for the game? A Cindy Moon original. Okay. I finished talking about Ghost Spider's plot and suits, so if you don't want to hear me rant about something, you may skip to the outro or stay and listen. So some people were bothered in my last video for disliking Spider-Man 2. Well, I'm going to tell you the one thing that ruined Spider-Man 2 as a whole for me. And that's none other than Venom. I have not been this disappointed of a gaming character since The Last of Us Part 2 and how they ruined Joel. In my opinion. My opinion. All of this is my opinion, so please don't bash me in the comments or anything. My opinion, alright? My opinion is not the right opinion, it's just, in my head, it's right. To you, doesn't need to be right, alright? Alright, thank you. So with every fiber in my muscle, I hate how they slaughtered my boy Venom. Before I continue, I will say this. The design is really cool, and his voice is stellar. Rest in peace to the voice actor, by the way. My slight nitpick for the design would be that I wish the spider emblem legs were conjoined, like the classic Venom's emblem. So it would also make sense for the wings to come out the back, since the same thing happened in the comics when Venom found out his spider emblem is actually a dragon emblem, with the spider legs meant to be the dragon wings, and the spider fangs are actually the horns of the dragon. Once he found out, the spider emblem on his back emerged out to become dragon wings. In the game, he got the wings for the sake of just having wings. That's it. So away from the design, and now talk in depth about Venom. Right off the bat, I need to say this. The symbiote is not Venom. The black symbiote is not Venom. How does a portion of people in this day and age not know that? And when I say people, I'm also talking about Insomniac. They don't know. I know they don't know what makes Venom Venom. Venom is the name that Eddie Brock and the symbiote decided to call themselves after merging into one body together. Even if somehow the symbiote's name is Venom, then why the hell would Venom use plurals to narrate himself? He says in the game, "We are Venom." Why would he say that if the symbiote's name is Venom and not Harry? He should say instead, "I am Venom, but not Harry." No. He's inside of me sucking my inward tit. The game doesn't explain where Venom got his name. It came out of nowhere. You know how Venom got his name in general? Eddie got that name from adding the word Venom on his newspaper headlines to catch attention of people to make extra cash. I don't remember if this was before or after he got fired from the Daily Bugle, or even if I got that lore right. Either way, there's another way Venom got his name, which in my mind is the right way to get it. I'll play this clip so you'll hear it yourselves.
Surprise, surprise. Now, we're one. Now, you're gonna pay. From now on, we're poison to you, Spider-Man. That's why we call ourselves Venom.
That's such a badass line. The animated series got some phenomenal lines that's just too good to be in this show. I'll play another clip of Venom to show how Venom should be.
You know nothing about us, but we know everything about you. You see us everywhere, even in your nightmares.
God, that line makes me want to hop like an Easter bunny on ketamine. This is what Venom is supposed to be. A dark, twisted version of Spider-Man who goes against everything Spider-Man stands for, as well as a frightening ass stalker that should make Spider-Man poop out shards of glass. And guess what? We see none of that in Spider-Man 2. Nothing even remotely close. Venom is just a big dumb idiot who wants to take over Earth, because why not? Matter of fact, you know what makes Venom so unique from other villains in Spider-Man's Rogue Gallery? The other villains only want to kill or capture Spider-Man so they can pursue their main goal of taking over the city or becoming rich, whatever. But Venom, you know what his main goal? Kill Spider-Man. That's it. That what makes him terrifying. In Spider-Man 2, Venom can go on a day without Spider-Man. He doesn't even want to kill him. He wants him to join him. What? Okay. Let's talk about Harry being the host for Venom. But before I do, let me tell you what a symbiote is. A symbiote is an alien organism that attaches itself to a host, and depending on the symbiotic bond, they'll range from being weak as balls to being strong as fuck. That's what makes Eddie Brock the perfect Venom. Because Eddie Brock hates Peter Parker, who made him lose his job. And the symbiote hates Spider-Man because it felt betrayed that Spider-Man would abandon the symbiote after the things that it was helping Spider-Man. Those two separate people that Eddie Brock and the symbiote hate are actually one person, they found out. So they banded together as Venom with equal burning desire to kill Spider-Man, who's also Peter Parker. That desire is what makes Venom so strong. The symbiote and Eddie has a near perfect symbiotic bond that they're able to sweep the floor with Spider-Man. But for Harry from Spider-Man 2, there is nothing. The symbiotic bond is non-existent. The only thing Harry and the symbiote share in common is that they both want to heal the world. Harry meant it in a good way. The symbiote meant it in his favor by taking over Earth and have everyone under the influence of symbiotes. Harry realizes this at the end of the game, and we see him trying to resist the symbiote in the final battle. If Harry is resisting the symbiote, that means Venom should be so weak that Spider-Man should have no issue taking down Venom. Honestly. Because the symbiote can't do it on his own. It needs Harry to comply. It needs the host to comply. Best example would be like piloting a Jaeger from Pacific Rim, which requires 2 pilots to synchronize together, physically and even mentally, to take down kaijus. If one pilot is dead and the other is alive, the Jaeger's strength will be deducted by 50%. Same concept for Venom. The symbiote needs its host to put in the effort or they'll likely fail. But nope, not for Spider-Man 2. Apparently the symbiote is too strong, even with the host resisting, that I don't know why get Harry as his host, who's a sobbing child doing nothing. man, this Venom pisses me off, because this is not Venom. This is just some other black symbiote that took the name Venom. Actually, I have a theory. This Venom we see is actually Venom Jr. or Venom the Second. The real Venom, with Eddie Brock, traveled to Clintar to overthrow Null to become the new King in Black, or the ruler of the symbiotes. Then he sent his child, Venom Jr., which he named for being the only black symbiote among his siblings. He sent Venom Jr. to Earth with a meteorite, which is just some rock from Clintar, with his mission being to take over Earth to turn it into a planet stacked of food supply. This is why we see Venom here doing what Carnage does by spreading his symbiote everywhere and infinitely produce them without needing the power of the meteorite. And here, the thing is, the child of a symbiote is always stronger than its parent, which is why Venom Jr. is much, much stronger than the old classic Venom. That's my theory, and I'll pretend it's a real theory to not feel continuously disappointed that the Venom we see is supposed to be the Venom, the arch nemesis of Spider-Man, the shadow of Spider-Man, I think the yin or yang, whatever, of Spider-Man. Everything that made Venom cool is stripped away because the guy who wanted more MJ missions couldn't be bothered to pick up a comic book, or at the very least, watch the animated series, the 1990s animated series, which has the definitive Venom. There is no doubt that the DLC will be surrounding Carnage, as teased from one of the side quests. So what I think happened for the DLC to be cancelled is that the game's director actually for once picked up a comic book to read about Venom, Carnage, and basically the lore of the symbiotes. Once he realized that Carnage who would have the perfect symbiotic bond with Cletus Cassidy, who's supposed to be stronger than Venom, who had no symbiotic bond with Harry, and still able to nearly take over the city without the meteorite, as well as both Spider-Men struggling to take him down. I bet you the director said, "Oh shit! Nah, beat, ain't no way 2 Spider-Men will come close to taking down Carnage, who wants to murder all life because it's his hobby. We ain't gonna get maximum Carnage in this mofo. Nah, we're gonna get exceeded the limit Carnage. Infinite Carnage. Yeah, scrap this, Chief. No way the Avengers could deal with this. Just not possible. Nah." That's how it went. I bet you they lost their shit, realizing how godlike Carnage would be if Venom was this strong in the base game. Okay, and that's it for the video. Let me just quickly say this, by the way. Spider-Man 2 is a fine game, alright? I don't hate the game, just some things I'm just really disappointed with. Some things. The price tag as well. $70? Fuck no. That price tag only belongs to Red Dead Redemption 2 and Elden Ring. That's all. Because they have stacked content. But anyways, Spider-Man 2 is a fine game, alright? It's not a shit game. And I'm not gonna complain and say that it's too woke. Come on. Zootopia is woke. And it has a great story and all that. And, okay, putting Spider-Man 2 aside, I like the story I made for, I'll call it Spider-Gwen. I like the story I made for Spider-Gwen. I understand there's some flaws For instance, if you read it, you'll realize there's no mini enemies to fight. Except in the beginning of the game, where you fight Oscar militia to escape the underground, and a couple of thugs, and that's it. Throughout the game, you're dealing with straight up symbiotes. The main symbiote, Life Foundation symbiotes and Venom. I understand that. I didn't want to think too much of the gameplay. I just want to make a good story. A story that, you could expect to find to be read from a book. That was not a good mindset when making a story for a video game, actually. Oof. And there's a few more flaws. I get it. I'm not going to say my story is perfect. But I think out of the other stories I've rewritten in my channel, this is the best one, in my opinion. Because the main protagonist, Gwen Stacy, aka Ghost Spider, and the main antagonist, Eddie Brock, aka Venom, they're original characters in the Insomniac universe that I made. We never see Gwen Stacy or Eddie Brock. Maybe little Easter eggs and little hints, but we never see them as characters. Or at least there's no characterization of them. So I get to make Gwen Stacy and Eddie Brock however I pleased, and I think I did a good job. If I was the director of the Insomniac Spider-Man universe, I would set up Eddie Brock as Venom, for the record, not Harry or whatever. So I would have had Eddie Brock earlier in the games to be built up as Spider-Man's nemesis throughout, whatever. I like this way of how I got Venom to be set up as the arch nemesis of Spider-Man. Once he realizes that his ex-girlfriend is dating this guy and whatever. See, I like the story. Simple, bit short, but still a good story. Still. Yeah, I'd like to hear your criticisms, your thoughts on my story. I said this in my previous videos. I'll say it again. Please don't shit on me as a person. And don't shit on my work. If you have nothing nice to say, if you're just gonna say rude things without actually building constructive criticism, just leave. What do you gain from this? I'm just, come on. Why make everyone's life miserable for your pleasure? Come on. Be better. Be greater. The tagline of Miles Morales' game. Alright, I'm sweating this room. Have a great day. See you next month. Now realizing the rate of these videos getting published. And take care. Oh, I forgot. Subscribe and like the video, by the way. I'd like to get 2,000 subscribers before 2025. Is that possible? Probably not. Because this will be my last video of 2024. Who knows, right? Who knows? Alright, take care.